It is time for the third and final part of Kevin Gets Caught Up on Card Game Anime. Now, for a quick refresher, I said that while I still love the characters of Shadowverse Flame, I think the current arc is a downgrade. Then I said that while I think Cardfight Vanguard Divine Z has the potential to get a lot better, as it does more with the brother sister dynamic, all in all, it's been really boring. So, with that, one must ask the question, what hope does Yu Gi Oh! Go Rush have of impressing me? Seeing as, for the most part, I have not hidden the fact that I, for the most part, don't like this show. Now, there has been stuff about it I've enjoyed, and I have not been afraid to say that there have been good points, but I'd say at this point it's been more bad than good, and there's not a lot of hope going into this one. So, I now have to be the guy to say that. Well, before I do, I want to stress there's still a lot wrong here. I still feel like we waste way too much time on bad comedy. I feel like the story is moving at a snail's pace, a lot of times to accommodate said bad comedy. I don't know if I fully buy a lot of the motivations here, or at least I don't feel like it's been really presented in a way that quite works for me. But of these three shows, at this current point in time, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush has me the most interested to see where the greater story is going. I'm not saying it'll be the best when all is said and done. I am simply saying at the time of this recording, when 119 and 120 haven't even been subbed yet, which is why they're not in this video, and I have to be on a flight in like 2 days, so I can't wait any longer. I think this is the show that I think is doing the most interesting things. And since that's what we talk about around here, let's talk about it. So, currently what is happening in Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush is that Udius and crew make their way to the planet of the dark matter people, or whatever the fuck they're. I really don't like looking at these guys. They're really weird and slick and gross, and I don't know if the girls got a lot of fan art, but like I find them unpleasant. But yeah, so they get to the palace of the Dark Meister, the queen of these guys. And something the show does that's pretty interesting is I feel like we all knew where this was going the minute she said, "It's my road," or whatever the heck she was talking about. That either that is Yuamu, or maybe it's some sort of corrupted future Yuamu, or some people I saw even thought Yuamu was the cat, because the cat had Yuamu's ribbon. But effectively what we find out is that Yuamu is the Dark Meister, and she has disguised herself as this character in order to manipulate the Dark Men to helping her achieve her ultimate goal, which is still to take on Yuga's will and create the good future for him and I guess the rest of the kids of Japan. Or I still hate that, but yeah, that's what we do here. And again, Yu-Gi-Oh is no stranger to the concept of good guys turning out to be bad guys, or switching over to the bad side, or anything like that. But what I think is really done interesting here is that because the show just kind of like acknowledges Yuamu as the Dark Meister very quickly, they don't sit on the revelation and treat it like a big shock. So instead, we're able to get right into the nitty gritty of this. And that is, why is she doing this? How is she doing this? What got us to this point? And I think that's actually pretty damn strong. I think what allows it to really work the most is that the show really focuses in on the idea that this is her choice. She's not under duress. She isn't being lied to. It's sort of insinuated maybe having all of Yuga's memories put in her head did something to her. But even if that's true, the show wants to focus on the idea that Yuamu is doing this of her own free will. This is her choice. And watching how everyone deals with that is actually pretty interesting. I love the way Yuamu's actress plays it as well. It does sort of like put that idea in there that maybe she's not quite right after what happened, but it does always go back to the fact that this is her decision and what she is doing is having consequences, and we're seeing that executed. Compare this to Card Fight Vanguard, which was so afraid that you would disagree with what Hikari is doing, that you might not like her for siding with the bad guys. It's like it had to disrupt it immediately. Nothing could flow organically. The stupid plush just had to be like, yeah, she's under mind pollution, so it's fine. Everything's a get out of jail free card. Not here. Yuamu has decided to take on this dark persona. She has made the decision to manipulate the dark men and the rest of their people into getting what she wants, and she is making the decision to go to Earth and to steal Monster Reborn so she can just do what she thinks will lead to the right future for Yuga and all of them. And what's sort of interesting is that she doesn't realize this. She's almost just making the exact same mistake as Goha. Goha believed they needed a level of power and control over society that they just couldn't fulfill, and they just wound up turning into a bunch of blabbering morons who was letting everything get worse. Yuamu is effectively just making the same mistake. She's believing she needs this sense of absolute power and control if she wants to lead to the right thing to happen. So that's kind of interesting in and of itself. But what I think is also really nice is where it goes even further is the show just like sort of like removes that entire stakes of what she could do to the world afterwards. The show is not really focused on that. The show is focused on the idea that Yuamu is going to steal Monster Reborn so that way she can alter her own mind and remove her memories and her humanity so she can become the Dark Meister and do what she thinks she has to do. That is such a fascinating idea to me. I've often talked about how I really can't stand a lot of these mind control or memory alteration plot lines in these types of shows. That's because they don't really do anything with it. It's just a plot contrivance. But here, the concept of altering one's mind to make them a certain way is the point to what's going on here. Like the idea that you're seeing how everyone reacts to the idea of Yuamu sealing herself away for this crazy idea to work, I think everyone's reaction feels very natural and very human. The way Yuhi is like, I just gotta get closer. I gotta do something. The way Udius is just thinking, how can I help? What can I do to help someone I care about so much? It's very well done. The actors, in particular Udius's actor, do such a good job with what they're given. It actually does make it work. And another interesting thing I find is that by Yuamu doing all this, she is truly Udius's ultimate antagonistic foil. The thing is that Udius's whole shtick, from the minute the show has started, is that he wants the Valgirans to learn what it is to be happy, to not just think in terms of war and violence, to learn how to want to make futures and homes for yourselves, that there is peace, that you can have fun, that you can make connections. In a sense, he wants them all to get humanity. So the idea that his ultimate final foe, because I think we've got to be in like the final like set of episodes until the next one starts probably next spring, right? I know we were all thinking the show would only be like 100 like Sevens was, but yeah, we got to be careening towards the end, right? But yeah, the idea that Udius's ultimate antagonistic opponent is someone who is doing the opposite of him. Someone who, granted through Yuga's perspective, has seen what happens and knows about how bad things can get. But instead of wanting to do something better about it, she decides that she will remove her humanity. She will separate herself from the world around her. She will give up what makes her her and what allows for her to make connections with other people because she thinks it's the right thing to do. And I think that's the setup for a very interesting conflict. Will we stick the landing? I can't bring myself to say yes. But at the very least, I want to see where it's going. And I genuinely want to know how this plot will resolve. But yeah, that is my thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. What can we learn from talking about 3 card game anime back to back? I have no fucking idea. But at the very least, it's the kind of state we're in right now. What will I do next? I don't know. We'll figure that out as we go. As for the TCG question of the video, so obviously the question of where Yu-Gi-Oh is going has been coming around a lot. I brought it up in the Oblivion Battery review, which you should watch because it's not me knocking a popular anime, it's me trying to build up a not popular anime. But yeah, just in general, what's your like general thoughts of where Yu-Gi-Oh is going? Because I can listen to as many big name Yu-Gi tubers and pro players complain all they want, but they have the biases of Yu-Gi-Oh is effectively a job for them or a way of life. So I'd kind of like to know, for people who just they like Yu-Gi-Oh, what are your thoughts about things? It would be kind of sobering to get a different take. But give me your thoughts about that in the comment section below. And as always, click to like, subscribe, and join me for maybe more Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. Let's see where this goes.